These are common bowel pathologies that can be diagnosed with ultrasound. You will see them often in daily practice. Because these conditions are common, learning them will build your confidence. I will explain these pathologies using a simple and practical framework. This makes it easy to approach any abnormal bowel and confirm your findings. A detailed video on this framework is already available. The link is in the description. Here, we will focus on the simple and important points of bowel pathology. Each pathology will be described based on these points. To make it simple and clear, only important points will be discussed. Acute appendicitis is most common emergency condition. The patient usually has pain in the right lower abdomen. The pain often starts near the umbilicus and then shifts. Inflamed appendix can be visualized 80 to 90% of cases. To increase your chance of finding appendix, ask the patient to point to the area of maximum pain. Place your probe on that spot to look for a dilated blind-ended tube. Inflamed appendix appears as sausage-like structure. Once you identify appendix, look for these ultrasound features to confirm the diagnosis. Measure wall thickness. It should be more than 3 mm. It is symmetrical in early inflammation. And it becomes asymmetrical in gangrenous appendicitis. You'll see break in wall in case of perforated appendicitis. Another important feature is to measure the diameter of dilated appendix. To call it appendicitis, the outer to outer wall diameter should be more than 6 mm. Look at layers of appendix wall, also called gut signature. It is usually preserved in uncomplicated cases. The normal gut signature is still visible. Loss of stratification suggests advanced disease, such as gangrenous appendicitis or perforation. Vascularity is increased on color Doppler. This shows hyperemia in the appendiceal wall. Vascularity may reduce or disappear if the appendix becomes necrotic or gangrenous. The appendix is non-compressible. It does not collapse with probe pressure and keeps its round shape, even if you press it against the psoas muscle. The lumen may be filled with fluid. It appears hypoechoic. It may also contain an appendicolith. This appears as a bright, echogenic focus with posterior acoustic shadowing. Secondary signs of appendicitis are inflamed periappendiceal fat, free fluid, or fluid collections around it. Fat stranding is seen as increased echogenicity around the appendix. This shows inflammation of the surrounding fat. The fatty tissue that is first involved in appendicitis is the mesentery of the appendix or mesoappendix. Later, as the disease progresses, fatty omentum also involved, resulting into increased volume of fat stranding. Fluid may be seen around the lesion. A small collection of free fluid may be present near the appendix or in the right iliac fossa. This suggests inflammation or early perforation. To summarize, clinical clue for appendicitis is right lower abdomen, which is shifted from umbilicus. Try to find the blind-ended tubular structure at the point of maximum tenderness. Once you identify appendix, measure wall thickness, diameter, vascularity. Look whether the gut signature is intact or absent. Look for any break in wall indicating perforated appendix. Observe the luminal content. Look for fecalith. Compress the appendix with probe. Inflamed appendix is not compressible. Also, look for secondary sign such as fat stranding, periappendiceal fluid. Now let's learn to diagnose remaining bowel pathology with help of practical framework that we use to diagnose appendicitis. Intussusception is common in children. In children, it is often seen in the right upper quadrant near the liver and kidney. Use these organs as landmarks while scanning. If child come with intermittent colicky pain, inconsolable cry, think of intussusception as possible cause. Place your probe on right upper quadrant to look for any mass-like lesion. The bowel wall looks very thick and layered. It shows a wall within a wall appearance. This represents one part of the bowel telescoping into another. In the transverse view, you will see the target or donut sign. There are multiple concentric rings. These rings are alternating bright and dark layers. The central bright area contains mesenteric fat and vessels. A diameter more than 2.5 centimeters usually suggests pathologic intussusception. In the longitudinal view, you will see the pseudokidney sign. The bowel looks like a kidney. The outer dark layer is edematous bowel wall. The central bright area is mesenteric fat and vessels. It looks similar to a kidney in shape and texture. The bowel diameter is increased at the lesion. It usually measures about 3 to 5 centimeters. Peristalsis is usually absent or reduced within the lesion. The bowel before the lesion may show increased peristalsis due to obstruction. Vascularity is very important. On color Doppler, preserved blood flow means the bowel is still viable. Absent blood flow suggests ischemia or necrosis. This is a surgical emergency. The lesion is firm and non-compressible. It does not collapse with pressure. The inner lumen may contain trapped fluid or mucosal echoes. You may also see a lead point. This can be a polyp, meccal diverticulum, or an enlarged lymph node. One important sign is the crescent in a circle sign. This is caused by mesenteric fat trapped between bowel layers. It appears as eccentrically located hyperechoic area within the rings, specifically representing the fat of the mesentery being pulled into the intussusception. Enlarged mesenteric lymph nodes are often seen. They may be trapped within the bowel layers, especially in ileocolic intussusception. Patients usually present with abdominal distension and vomiting. Bowel sounds may absent. Wall thickness is usually normal. It may appear thin due to stretching. You may also see the valvulae conniventes clearly, giving a stack of coin appearance. This is not seen in normal small bowel. Wall stratification is usually preserved in early stages. Loss of stratification is a red flag. It suggests bowel necrosis or impending perforation. Bowel diameter is the main diagnostic feature. Small bowel loops are dilated more than 3 centimeters. Large bowel loops are dilated more than 5 centimeters. The loops often look fluid-filled and sausage-shaped. Peristalsis changes with time. In the early phase, there is hyperperistalsis as the bowel tries to push contents forward. In the late phase, peristalsis decreases or stops. You may see to and fro movement of fluid without progression. Vascularity is variable. Increased blood flow may be seen with inflammation. Absent blood flow on colour, Doppler suggests strangulation. This is a surgical emergency. The dilated bowel loops are tense and non-compressible due to high pressure inside. The lumen is filled with fluid. You may see whirling echoes. A key finding is the transition point. This is where the bowel suddenly changes from dilated to collapsed. It helps you locate the site of obstruction. Free fluid may be seen between the bowel loops. This is called the Tanga sign. It often indicates more severe obstruction. It appears as triangular collection of anechoic fluid trapped between the walls of adjacent distended bowel loops. This condition is different from mechanical obstruction. It usually occurs after surgery or due to electrolyte imbalance. Patients have a distended and quiet abdomen. Bowel sounds are absent. Wall thickness is usually normal or thin, less than 3 mm. Wall stratification is intact and well preserved. Loss of layering is not expected in simple ileus. Bowel diameter shows diffuse dilatation of both small and large bowel. The loops are usually less dilated than in obstruction. They measure around 2.5 to 3 centimeters. Peristalsis is the key feature. There is minimal or no movement. This is called aperistalsis. Unlike obstruction, there is no to and fro movement. The fluid remains still. Vascularity is normal. Blood flow in the bowel wall is preserved because there is no strangulation. The bowel loops are easily compressible. They collapse with gentle probe pressure. The lumen is mostly filled with gas or stagnant fluid. Gas produces dirty shadowing. You will not see the whirling fluid movement seen in obstruction. There is no transition point. The bowel does not show a sudden change from dilated to collapsed. The entire bowel looks uniformly sluggish. This condition usually affects older patients. They present with sudden cramping pain on the left side of the abdomen, followed by bloody diarrhea. On ultrasound, a key clue is localized bowel wall thickening. It is often seen at the splenic flexure or sigmoid colon, which are watershed areas. Wall thickness shows moderate to marked thickening. It is usually more than 5 to 9 millimeters. This happens due to edema and hemorrhage in the submucosa. The thickening is usually symmetrical and involves a segment of bowel, most commonly in the left colon. Wall stratification depends on the stage. In the early stage, it is preserved. You will see a thick hypoechoic submucosal layer due to edema. In late stages, stratification is lost. This is a red flag and suggests full thickness necrosis. Bowel diameter is usually reduced. The lumen appears narrowed because the wall is swollen inward. Peristalsis is absent or very minimal in the affected segment. Vascularity is the most important Doppler finding. In the ischemic phase, there is absent or very low blood flow in the bowel wall. In the reperfusion phase, blood flow may increase as circulation returns. The affected bowel segment is rigid and non-compressible. The lumen is often empty or may contain a small amount of bloody fluid or debris. You may see the little dot sign. This appears as small bright echoes within the bowel wall. It suggests early air formation. Pneumatosis intestinalis may be seen. This appears as bright echoes or linear streaks within the bowel wall. It may produce dirty shadowing. This is a serious sign and may indicate necrosis. Fat stranding is usually mild to moderate. The surrounding fat may look slightly bright but not as severe as in other inflammatory conditions. Free fluid is commonly seen around the bowel. If the fluid appears echogenic, it may be blood and suggests severe ischemia. Lymph nodes are usually normal. The absence of enlarged nodes helps differentiate this condition from infection or malignancy. This condition classically presents with left lower abdominal pain and fever. It is often called left-sided appendicitis. On ultrasound, a key clue is point tenderness over a focal area of colonic wall thickening. You may directly see the diverticulum. It appears as a small outpouching of the bowel wall. It may contain a bright echogenic focus, which represents a fecalith. Dirty shadowing may be seen due to trapped gas. A key associated feature is the dome sign. This appears as a small rounded projection from the colon wall, representing the inflamed diverticulum. Fat stranding is very prominent. The surrounding fat becomes bright and inflamed. It often appears to creep around the colon, which is a classic sign of diverticulitis. Fluid around the lesion is common. It may be simple fluid or a complex collection. A complex collection suggests abscess formation after perforation. Lymph nodes are often enlarged. These are reactive nodes seen near the inflamed segment of bowel. Patients usually present with sudden onset of diarrhea. The stool may be bloody or watery. Fever and diffuse abdominal cramps are common. Wall thickness shows mild to moderate circumferential thickening. It is usually more than 3 millimeters, often around 4 to 8 millimeters. The thickening is symmetrical. Wall stratification is usually intact and well preserved. Peristalsis is usually increased. This is called hyperperistalsis. It reflects the body trying to clear the infection, leading to diarrhea. Vascularity is increased on color Doppler. This shows hyperemia due to active inflammation. The lumen is mostly filled with fluid. It appears hypoechoic. There is little or no formed stool. You may see small bright echoes due to mucus or inflammatory debris. Hausstraw folds appear thickened and prominent. This gives an appearance similar to the accordion sign. Fat stranding is minimal or absent. Unlike other inflammatory conditions, the surrounding fat is usually not significantly affected. Small amounts of free fluid may be present. It is often seen in the paracolic gutters or pelvis. Enlarged reactive lymph nodes may be seen. These nodes are usually oval and show a preserved fatty hilum. Patients usually present with pain around the umbilicus. Nausea and watery diarrhea are common. On ultrasound, a key clue is multiple hyperactive, fluid-filled small bowel loops. These are often seen in the mid to lower abdomen. Wall thickness shows mild and symmetrical thickening. It usually measures around 3 to 5 millimeters. It is more than 3 millimeters in a distended bowel. Wall stratification is almost always intact. The layers of the bowel wall remain clearly visible. Bowel diameter is mildly increased. The loops measure about 2 to 3 centimeters. They are filled with fluid, but do not show the severe dilation seen in obstruction. Peristalsis is increased. You will see rapid movement and rushing fluid inside the bowel loops. Vascularity is mildly increased on color Doppler. This shows hyperemia due to inflammation. The bowel loops are easily compressible, even with wall thickening. The lumen is filled with fluid. It appears hypoechoic. You may see small bright specks floating inside. These represent mucus or debris. Valvulae conniventes are more prominent. They may look slightly thickened or fuzzy. Fat stranding is usually absent. The surrounding fat is mostly normal. Small amounts of free fluid are common. You may see small fluid pockets between the bowel loops. Enlarged mesenteric lymph nodes are often present. This is called mesenteric adenitis. These nodes are usually seen in the right lower abdomen or central mesentery. This condition presents with sudden, localized abdominal pain. It is usually in the right or left lower abdomen. The patient often looks well and has no fever or major lab changes. A key clue is strong point tenderness over a fixed fatty mass. A key finding is the hyperechoic nut. This is an oval fatty mass, usually 1 to 4 centimeters in size. It is attached to the outer surface of the colon. It does not move with pressure or breathing. Wall thickness of the adjacent bowel is usually normal. This is an important feature that helps distinguish it from diverticulitis. Wall stratification is completely normal. The disease is outside the bowel wall, so the bowel layers are not affected. Bowel diameter is normal. There is no narrowing or obstruction of the intestinal lumen. Peristalsis is preserved. The bowel continues to move normally beneath the inflamed area. Vascularity is usually minimal or absent in the lesion itself. Sometimes a thin rim of increased blood flow may be seen in the surrounding tissues. The lesion is a firm, non-compressible oval mass. Luminal content is normal. Gas and stool pass normally through the adjacent bowel. Fat stranding is localized and very intense. It appears as a bright halo of inflamed fat surrounding the lesion. Fluid around the lesion is usually absent or minimal. If present, it's only a small localized collection. Lymph nodes are usually normal. The absence of enlarged lymph nodes helps distinguish this from other inflammatory or malignant conditions. Patients often present with long-term symptoms. These include change in bowel habits, weight loss, or iron deficiency anemia. On ultrasound, a key clue is segmental wall thickening and loss of normal gut signature. Wall thickness is markedly increased. It's often more than 10 to 15 millimeters. The thickening is irregular and usually eccentric, meaning one side is thicker than the other. Wall stratification is lost. The normal gut signature is destroyed. It is replaced by a solid hypoechoic mass. Bowel diameter may look increased overall. However, the lumen is narrowed. This creates a stenosis and gives an apple core appearance. Peristalsis is absent in the affected segment. The bowel becomes rigid. You may see increased peristalsis in the bowel before the lesion if there is obstruction. Vascularity shows abnormal blood flow. Color Doppler often shows disorganized internal vessels due to tumor growth. The lesion is hard and non-compressible. It feels like a firm lump under the probe. The lumen may show a pseudo-kidney sign. The thick dark wall surrounds a bright center. This center represents trapped gas or mucus. It gives an appearance similar to a kidney. You may see the shoulder sign. This is a sharp transition between normal bowel and the tumor. Fat stranding is often present. If the tumor has spread beyond the bowel wall, the surrounding fat appears bright due to invasion or reaction. Lymph nodes are often enlarged. They appear rounded and hypoechoic. Malignant nodes usually lose their fatty hilum and appear uniformly dark. This is a chronic inflammatory bowel disease. Patients often have a long history of diarrhea, weight loss, and repeated abdominal pain. A key ultrasound clue is involvement of the terminal ileum, which is the most common site. Wall thickness is significantly increased. It is usually more than 4 millimeters and can reach 10 to 15 millimeters during acute flares. The thickening is often symmetric. Bowel wall thickening is most prominent in the hyperechoic submucosal layer, representing deposition of fat and fibrous tissue as a result of chronic bowel inflammation. Wall stratification depends on severity. Typically, all bowel wall layers are involved, and the normal stratification is often locally disturbed. In early or mild disease, the layers are still visible, but the submucosa looks thick and hypoechoic due to edema. In chronic or severe disease, the layers become blurred or lost due to deep ulcers and fibrosis. This transmural progression is recognized as focal hypoechoic changes in the otherwise hyperechoic submucosa. One of the features of Crohn's disease is the patchy way it affects bowel. This results in skip lesions, where large parts of the bowel are left unharmed. The affected parts show a relatively sharp demarcation, the transition from normal to abnormal being rather abrupt. Bowel diameter is usually narrowed. This is due to stenosis or stricture formation. You may see dilation of bowel before the narrowed segment, especially if there is partial obstruction. Peristalsis is reduced or absent in the affected segments. The bowel becomes rigid and stiff. Vascularity is increased on color Doppler. This shows active inflammation and helps distinguish an active flare from chronic inactive disease. The bowel loops are firm and non-compressible. The lumen may show narrowed segments filled with fluid. In severe cases, mucosal damage can create star-shaped patterns. A key associated finding is creeping fat. This is fibrofatty tissue that wraps around the bowel loops. It appears as a bright, thick mass that pushes adjacent loops away. Fat stranding is prominent and chronic. The surrounding fat looks bright and inflamed, often more extensive than in simple infections. Bright eccentric foci within the hypoechoic areas are air configurations representing deep ulceration. These transmural ulcerations herald sinus tract formation, abscesses, and fistula formation. Note the partially surrounding inflamed fat, representing mesentery and momentum, at this point effectively walling off the imminent perforation. Sinus tract formation air configurations reaching beyond the peripheral borders of the bowel wall definitely indicate sinus tract formation. Free fluid is commonly present. Ultrasound may also show complications such as fistulas, which appear as hypoechoic tracts between bowel loops, or abscesses, which appear as complex fluid collections. Enlarged mesenteric lymph nodes are frequently seen. They are usually oval and reactive, located around the affected bowel segment. And that completes the common bowel pathology ultrasound features. If you are still watching this, it means you truly want to improve your ultrasound skills. I hope this video has given you useful and practical insights. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and share this video.